Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for watching and listening tonight. I'm excited to have as our guest because I'm really wanting to learn here and know more about Tambra Eifert. Am I pronouncing it right, Tambra?
Yes.
Tambra
The E
Eifert.
is silent.
Okay, very good. And and her assistant is Megan Sanders. And I'm just going to read a little bio here. Um, Tambra Eifert has a holistic and compassionate approach to healing, and she offers hypnotherapy, spiritual life coaching, and intuitive healing at her Mindful Pathways office in Topeka, Kansas. She specializes in anxiety, weight loss, smoking cessation, and other addictions, as well as trauma and divorce, and more. And um, what we were going to visit about more specifically tonight as another business she has. Um, Tambra has a Ph.D. in geology and is a retired geology professor. And her second business she calls Celestial Gems, and it offers a wide assortment of rocks, minerals, crystals, gemstone carvings, and other spiritual gift items. And she has these for sale at Spirit Mind Body Fairs and Renaissance festivals. And just this past weekend, I there was one of the more local Renaissance festivals, and I was able to go to it. And so I had met Tambra there, and we had met before too at one of these fairs when they were local, and so it was so nice to meet people in person and to see some of the things she was selling. And um, specifically, I'm real interested in geology and how you came to want to be that. And then after you got involved in that, I'm guessing then you got involved in crystals. So I wanted to hear your story of how you combine the two or got into each of them individually. But my younger son is a geologist, and he hasn't really got into crystals at all. I mean, I'll ask him when I get a new one. I say, "What kind is this?" And he kind of gives a general term or whatever, but he hasn't got into the crystal energies. He mainly works with water and soil contamination cleanup.
I
Works
see.
for the state, not Kansas, another state. And anyway, but that's always made me interested in geology because he is. And so, Tambra, could you please tell us about your journey, like how you got into geology? What made you choose that as a profession?
Yes. When I was a little girl, I would go visit my grandparents that lived out in the country. They lived near Zelma, Missouri. And around the country, they had streams everywhere with little riverbeds. And my grandfather was a very intelligent man. He actually taught at a college for a couple years. And he was very interested in rocks and fossils. So maybe at the age of 6 is when I first started doing things with him. We'd go out into the creeks and we'd crack the rocks open, and he would show me all the beautiful rocks and tell me what he thought they were as far as their mineral content. And then it took about a mile of walking to the mailbox on a gravel road, and there would be outcrops of limestone rock here and there scattered all on either side of the road. And he would stop and show me the different layers of rocks, the limestone, the shale, and then he would indicate to me the fossils. And he would say things like, many millions of years ago, there was a shallow sea that flowed through this area. And I can remember how baffled I was, amazed about how there could have been a shallow sea when we didn't have any kind of shallow sea at that time. So he was the one who really got me interested in geology. Now, when I was in high school, the counselor asked, what would you like to be when you get out of high school? And I said, I want to be an earth scientist. because I had taken earth science courses and did really well and loved it. And the counselor said to me, "Oh, hun, girls don't become earth scientists."
Yeah.
And I was just devastated. And I said, "But I want to be an earth scientist." "Well, that's not a job that a woman would take on. You could be a nurse, you could be a housewife, you could be a counselor." She was naming these different things that back in that time was acceptable to be for a woman to be. And I didn't choose anything because I didn't want it. So she put me into secretarial studies.
Okay.
Yeah. So after that, when I decided to go to college, they were still kind of talking about, you need to do something more in lines of helping people. So I went on and got my first BS degree in therapeutic recreation and mental health counseling. And then I worked in that field for 5 years. But the whole time when I was working with the kids at the group home, I'd take them out and let them fossil hunt and look for minerals and stuff like that, right? Um, I decided then, it was acceptable for women to be geologists. So I went to a university in Missouri and told the chairperson I wanted to get a second degree, and that would be in geosciences. And the chairperson said, "I don't really think you'll do well because you have all of your studies in the mental health field and helping other people, counseling them, offering therapy. And you would have to take a lot of science courses to even get caught up." And at that time, there were no women in that department. And this would have been uh, in 1992. So I said, "Well, I'm going to change that." And I went on and enrolled. He accepted me into the program. And then the next semester, four more young women came aboard and started to major in geosciences. So I was the first one of the women to enroll at the university. And so that's basically how I got started. And I've always loved teaching. Um, when I was younger, I would pretend I was teaching, my teddy bears and my dolls and all that. And so that was when when I was going to college, I started teaching at the university level, different courses in geology and paleontology. And then my last one was at Washburn University, and I was there for 15 years.
So, did you have jobs in the field of geology too, beside the teaching, or I'm
I
just
didn't get
curious.
paid to go out in the field and do field work, but I did a lot of field work. And then when I taught it was called a field experience for the
Hmm.
geology majors. With the chairperson, we went out and taught everybody how to do field work in Utah, Nevada, and Arizona.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, very good. So, when did your interest then in the metaphysical energies come? And did that develop while you were still working with rocks? And it's funny that rocks or stones is so much more serious, or like you
Mhm.
said, masculine maybe, or something. And then crystals is the same thing, but different, very different.
Ever since I was very young, I've always had a connection in the metaphysical realms. Um, uh, Maybe I was considered one of the different children of that time because no one else did. And then if I mentioned anything to them, they looked kind of funny at me, like, yeah, right. Or I would scare them. So I just kind of kept it to myself. Um, when I initially started in geology, I was just so fascinated about how these crystals, how these minerals could form beneath the earth. many of them deep within the earth near volcano magma chambers. And there were some that I knew about at that time that formed at the surface or near the surface of the earth. And I was just so fascinated with them and fascinated with caves. I did research over at Mammoth Cave for my bachelor's research project. And then I started exploring caves. And the more I did that, the more I just really fell in love with geology. And I remembered my grandfather, who was always trying to encourage me to do that. Now, as I started to get more and more educated in geology, some of that ooh and ah disappeared because, we're looking at everything scientifically, technologically, all of the things that have to do with science. And so that kind of faded out a little bit. But my students, they were always just oohing and ahhing over all the crystals and the rocks and the minerals I had in class, the fossils. And that kept a spark within me. It seems like once I left the university, not really with my own intent to do so. It was just they decided to end my contract and not offer geology anymore. Once I left that spark came back to me where I was then really amazed by how they could form below the surface of the earth and that it took thousands and millions of years to form these special crystals and minerals and so forth. So it's still in progress for me as I continue to sell these crystals and so forth to everyone. It tends to enlighten me more. I get more excited about it as I see other people excited about them.
S- Um, so, what's your favorite crystal?
That that one's a tough one. Initially, it was gold, because we think of the value of gold. And then it was pyrite because pyrite is known as fool's gold. Um, I think that I am very drawn to opals and also any of the quartz variations like amethyst and citrine and smoky quartz and all of those beautiful quartz crystals.
Yeah, yeah. So, Megan, I'd like to take a minute here or so, and
Sure.
how did you are you in geology too, or were you're
So I'm not in geology. I do find it very interesting though. I do, and I learn from Tambra all the time. She tells me a lot about different stones and things like that. But she kind of nailed it on the head. I agree with her about the ports and and I haven't learned a lot about gold. That's something that I'll have her tell me about later, but I have like a quartz on right now. I feel a lot of positive, I guess you could kind of say energies from different stones, different, and so it's kind of like they choose me in a sense. I'll be
Mhm.
almost drawn to it. And then when I feel it, I can just, it gives me peace in a sense. So,
mhm.
there's a lot to explore. And so if I ever do go to college, maybe, maybe I'll look into some geology courses, elsewhere and things like that. So
Yes, and
Yeah.
I think that one of the reasons why we're so drawn to quartz is because of the high energy that they contain within them. They resonate such high frequencies of healing on a physical level and a spiritual level. And so I believe that's why most people are drawn to the quartz crystals.
And which would you think of the quartz crystals are say have more of the stronger energies for healing, or um, versus others, right? Say, like I've heard that, say, Lemurian crystals are
Mhm.
the kind of the mother crystal, where they contain energies of all crystals. So if you have one of those, if you can only have one crystal, that might be a good one to have, since it would
Mhm. Mhm.
contain. But I know there's quite a few different other quartz crystals as well, right? So, w-
Yes, I can just give a little bit of information about each one of them.
sure.
Your clear quartz is the one that you can use for just about any kind of healing. It's like an overall one that will cover most everything. Then the smoky quartz will be one that can take on negative energies off of a person or protect them from negative energies, right? But then these quartz crystals, they need to be cleansed, which I can talk about in just a short time if you want.
Sure,
So
sure.
smoky quartz is really good for protection and clearing. And then rose quartz is good for the heart and the heart chakra, for love, right?
Mhm.
And then there's the um, citrine, which is a yellow color quartz, and that's really good for self esteem. And it's associated with the solar plexus chakra, right? So if a person is having digestive problems, stomach problems, citrine's really good for that. It also gives everybody more of a cheerful mood, a sunny disposition. There's another one called ametrine, and that's a combination of citrine and amethyst. And then those two would then help a person if you have ametrine together. Now,
Mm,
did I say amethyst? I haven't said what amethyst is
no.
good for. That one is good for spiritual healing, particularly.
Okay, yeah, I really like amethyst. I have a couple different citrine crystals too. I use crystals a lot in my work. I keep them in my hologram as I work with people in people's biofields, so that all those energies are can be added to help things clear. So now, I had heard this before. I don't know if everyone can see this. Often amethyst is found this way, right? And the
Mhm.
with the often it has the gray outer shell and the white, and then the lavender or purple on the top. Does a
Mhm.
citrine, and I've heard that then amethyst can sometimes is heated in the earth, or you can heat it. Man can heat it, right? And then it
Mhm.
changes to the amber color. So, but do you find the citrine occur naturally in the earth this way then too?
Yes, yes, you can.
I had never seen a geode. I mean, the amethyst are common, right, to see
Yes.
in the geode,
Mhm.
but I haven't seen a citrine. So that's why I was wanting to ask you. Yeah.
It would be where it is closer to the surface, more likely, and that it would be near a heat source, say like a magma chamber.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
But you can artificially change the color from amethyst to citrine by applying heat.
Okay. So does um, if you have if it's an amethyst and you heat it and change it, does it change the energies, or does it stay more of the amethyst energies?
That's a good question. I still, with citrine, it's going to have the properties of all the quartz crystals, like the clear quartz and the amethyst, but it's going to be more for the solar plexus chakra and the self esteem, self confidence, and so forth. So it'll have its own unique um, metaphysical property, if you want to call it that, compared to amethyst or any of the other quartz crystals.
Hmm.
But they
Okay.
all kind of work together.
Oh,
They
yeah.
carry that same energy. They all have the same hardness of a seven. From a
Okay.
scale of 1 to 10, they all have the hardness of seven. So their color comes from different impurities within it, like iron deposits can cause the different colors to occur. Just a certain
Okay.
percentage of iron in it can change the colors as
Okay.
it's forming below. And if you don't mind me saying something about this, a lot of people will ask, well, are the lab produced ones, the ones that are made in the lab, are they just as powerful in their energy as those that form naturally? And I tell everyone they can help, but the longer that it took for them to form beneath the earth and be connected to the earth energy, the more powerful they are.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. I try to or when I buy crystals, I try to buy the raw. Most of them are raw, some are polished, but and try to get but like if you're ordering online, well, or even you go to a festival or something, like the Renaissance Festival or something, there's no way I can know where the vendors have sourced their crystals from, right? Or
Mhm.
is there a way to tell the difference between the man-made ones and the
There
natural?
is. I have on my phone an app called Rock Identifier
Mhm.
that I got from Google Play. And I think it's like $30 a year to have that subscription to that or use of it. And it seems to work pretty well. You take a photograph of the mineral or the crystal, and then once the photograph's taken, it analyzes it and it'll tell you what it would be, their first choice would be, and then the second, third. And
Okay.
it will also give you like an informal name as well as the scientific name. So that seems to help with my stuff that I get because a lot of vendors or wholesale places they will say that they have turquoise and they'll sell that to somebody as turquoise, but it's not really turquoise. It is howlite that has been dyed blue. And so it
Oh,
does not carry that frequency of turquoise. It carries the
yeah.
frequency of howlite. So
Interesting.
having an app like that can help a person determine whether they're looking at the real thing or not.
Mhm. Yeah, interesting. Well, you talked a little bit about that quartz crystals were a 7 on a hardness scale of 1 to 10. So is like selenites, are those the ones or twos?
The selenite is a variation of gypsum, and so it has a hardness of 2.
Okay.
And so you would be able to scratch it with your fingernail because our fingernail has a hardness of 2.5.
Okay.
So if you wonder
Interesting.
if it's you got selenite or gypsum, see if you can scratch it with your fingernail, at least on an area that wouldn't hurt it, unless
Mhm.
you're, of course, looking at one at a shop or something. You wouldn't be able to do it, but it would be soft. And then the next one up from that would be calcite. So calcite could always scratch gypsum.
Okay, so what's a 1 then? What's the like the
One, the common one that we have on the Mohs hardness scale is talc. Talc would be a
Okay.
1. So you could scratch it really easy and it would kind of come off as a powder.
Is that what talcum powder
Hmm.
is made of? Okay. Well, what was the big um didn't some of the baby products company like Johnson and Johnson or others were sued a number of
Hmm.
years ago because of talcum powder? Um,
Yes, I looked into that. I looked at some research articles, and it's not the talc that causes ovarian cancer or cancer for any of the unborn. It's actually a chemical that they were putting into the powder, and
okay.
that's what they were being sued over.
Okay. Well,
Hmm.
that's good to know. So, if you don't mind, then what's a 4 then?
A 4 would be fluorite,
Okay.
and fluorite comes in variations of colors, and they can even be different colors in one stone that you would have or crystal. It can be like a purple, a green, um, a, a soft yellow color, and off white.
Well, interesting. Yeah. Well, give us a 5 and a 6 then. This is this give us the whole scale there.
All right, let me think about it. So a 5, it would be appetite, I believe.
All right.
And that one's not as common for people to find at shops and at fairs and things of that nature. A piece of glass would scratch it because a piece of glass would have a 5.5 hardness. And then, let's see, 6. My mind has gone blank. I've taught it for so many years, you'd think I would remember. Feldspar. Feldspar is very commonly found in igneous rocks. And so that would be a 6. A 7 is quartz. And then 8, I'm sorry about that. I just don't remember offhand. I'm thinking 9 is corundum and 10 is diamond.
Okay.
8 might be topaz.
Okay.
They'll vary from one scale to another, but they take the most common ones and put them as a comparison to one another.
Is there a I mean, I really appreciate your information. I mean, it's just interesting to me. So, is there a correlation of some time between the hardness scale of a crystal and the type of energies they have?
It can affect it. It's more directly associated with the binding that the minerals take on with their atoms that cause the hardness and how they
Oh,
break.
okay.
Because each one of them has their own. Now, quartz is one of the highest ones of all with a 7, and it has a more healing energy than a diamond does. And a diamond has a hardness of 10.
Okay.
So I wouldn't relate it so much with that. I would say it's more with how they would bond together when the atoms are forming or coming together, combining.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. So, I'm stuck on the hardness here. I'm going to show you two things that I have and just to ask questions. The I have I'm not sure the name of this, but it's a type of a ruby,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks to me like it's porous in here, and then there's like little sparkles all over it. It's hard, but so I didn't know if porousness makes has anything to do with if it's hard or soft or
It
what.
can affect how hard they are, but more so how they break. So if
Okay.
you've got one that's got more of a porous texture to it, then it would break differently than that of a solid one, like a quartz crystal.
Okay. Got it.
Now, calcite crystals, they will break off in what we call cleavage, where they'll make a real smooth surface when you break them. And they'll keep breaking that way at two different angles. One side might break that way, and then another, and then possibly the third side might not. So when they break off like that, we call it cleavage or perfect cleavage. When they don't and they haphazardly break, that would be like a quartz crystal.
Huh.
So it'll
Okay.
just break right through the individual crystals instead of breaking off in little slabs or sheets.
Mm-hmm.
And
All
it all
right.
has to do with the hardness. And then um, there's a bond called a Van Allen or a Van Allen bond, and that is the one then where it weakly holds the crystals together. So when you hit a rock with a hammer or something like that, the strong bond will stay, and then the weak bond will break, and then
Okay.
it'll break off in those little slabs
Hmm.
or sheets.
Yeah. So, like, I know you can find the gypsum or the selenite around this area. I
Mhm.
Tambra, just to remind people, she lives in around Topeka, Kansas,
Mhm.
and I live north of Topeka a ways. And so I know gypsum can be found.
Mhm.
in Kansas. It used to be we used to find it on my on the farm I grew up on. But are many others found in Kansas as well, or are many specific to certain areas of the country
Now,
or
what
the
kind
world?
are you finding the clear gypsum in your area?
Yeah,
You are.
yeah.
I know that there's the pink gypsum, and that's commonly found most all throughout the state of Kansas. And they can be quite large, like the size of a grapefruit or larger.
Okay,
And those are the pink ones of gypsum.
okay.
So gypsum forms a little bit below the surface of the earth, not deep at all. And it goes through a process called leaching, where minerals will move up through the soil and deposit on the surface or just below it, and then eventually is exposed.
Hmm, okay. All right. Um, have you studied like um, crystals or stones, rocks, in other parts of the world too? Or I was thinking specifically of shungite. I think it's specific to a place in Russia. I think
I believe so.
where pure shungite is
Hmm.
found.
Where you would have some kind of impact.
Oh, I don't know. Like what do
Yeah,
you mean
doesn't
by that?
shungite form from some kind of meteorite impact?
I don't know. I don't know.
Hmm.
I just know of the healing properties of it. And
Yep.
so
Yeah, so it's not the meteorite itself, I don't believe, but it does form when it impacts on the earth and
mm,
heats everything up and then cools and forms.
okay. Uh,
Shungite, yeah, I'm not sure exactly with shungite, depending on what kind it is. I'll tell you an easy way that you can determine how each of the minerals can help you if you base it on color alone, as far as the healing part of it. Um, you can associate a lot of the minerals with their colors to the seven chakras of the body. So, like amethyst would be associated with the crown chakra, right? And that has to do with enlightenment, spiritual healing, just like the crown chakra brings to an individual. And then there is the indigo color for the third eye, the brow chakra. So any of them that would be in that color range would be for intuition and psychic abilities, being able to have visions and see. Then there are the blue ones that are associated with the throat chakra, just a nice deep blue color like lapis. And that would be good for clearing the throat, healing the throat, speaking your truth, or communication. Then all of the green minerals are associated with the heart chakra, but also the pink one, rose quartz. And the green then is for the heart as well, for the health of the heart and also for love. And then you have the solar plexus chakra. That's going to be all those that are yellow for the self esteem, self confidence, and the digestive. Then the sacral chakra will be the orange colored minerals for the sexual organs. And then the red ones, particularly the deep red ones, are associated with the root chakra that would be just below the groin area. And so the root chakra would be the one for how you were raised, the foundation of your belief systems, and so forth. The thing that I know is that we're all wanting to heal those three lower chakras right now so that we can then move up to the heart, which is the center, and then the upper three as we spiritually evolve. And then we can heal our bodies.
yeah, yeah. I think people used to be able to do that. They they knew they could, and they taught it to their children, and
Mm-hmm.
it was lost. Probably just like things have been lost. from during our lifetime, or our parents or grandparents' lifetime to our lifetime. Say, like, I worked with a 90-plus-year-old lady. She had been a nurse, and when she was in nursing school, marijuana was the go-to pain reliever that they gave their patients in the hospital.
Hmm.
And then come to my lifetime, and it's banned. It's said that it's bad because probably because it will help people and it won't bring in money, as that to the pharmacy companies or to
Hmm. Well,
whatever.
with crystals, they go back a long, long time ago for their healing. People all the way back into the earliest times ever recorded used crystals and minerals for healing. Egypt was one in particular. They always used those for healing, but many places around the world were. It wasn't until the Renaissance time that they stopped using the crystals and stopped doing the metaphysical healing because they thought that it was evil, that it was given to them by dark, demonic angels, the fallen ones, right? So they went from crystal healing to more of the leathers and the wood and so forth. And then in the last 40 years, I see when I'm looking online at different places that that's when the crystals came back into popularity for
Hmm.
the healing.
Well, thankfully, huh?
Yes. Did you have anything you wanted to say?
No, I mean, yeah, my health has never been better now that I've, utilized a lot of these crystals, a lot of energy work. I'm very interested in what you're saying as well. I'm kind of captivated. So,
Mm-hmm.
but so yeah, just
It is
Yeah.
important to for people to know that they should cleanse their minerals at least once a month if they can, particularly the dark minerals because they will hold on to negative energy as they take it off of someone. And so if you don't cleanse them, they can break. I had one do that one time when I was doing some energy work on someone with a smoky quartz, and it was a pretty intense treatment that I did. I left it unattended on my end table in my living room, and then I heard a couple of minutes later it cracked. I
Hmm.
went to look, and it broke completely in half.
Oh,
So these darker ones especially need to be cleansed, but all of them should be. There is different ways you can cleanse. The two popular ways is by burning sage and letting the smoke go over the crystals to cleanse them. And another way that's really easy is to put them in a selenite bowl or place them on a selenite plate because selenite never needs to be cleansed. And so, what I do with my crystals at the fairs and the festivals is that I will charge them up with the selenite bowls and plates so that they're highly charged
oh, that's nice.
for people so that when they get them, they're getting, the good energy from them. So those are two ways. You can also put them on in the moonlight at night or in the sunlight in the daytime. I wouldn't do too much of the soaking unless you just want to wash them off and then dry them because some of them are very soft and the little bit of acid that's in the water can start to dissolve the crystals like calcite crystals and gypsum and so forth. So it's really important to cleanse your minerals.
And I've heard of other ways to cleanse also, like in biofield tuning. Um, we're taught that the tuning forks, just the pure
Yes,
sound waves, can clear the crystals. And that also, so many people, we've forgotten the power of our mind. And so if our mind is pure and we're doing it for the highest good, then the crystals can clear by our intention
by
and
intention.
holding.
Yes.
And I'd heard of one more recently that I found interesting. I haven't tried it myself, but it was that you take salt. I'm assuming Himalayan salt, but maybe it could be table salt too, and put it in water, as much salt as it can be dissolved. When it no longer dissolves, then stop adding salt, and then soak the crystals in that for, I think it's 20 minutes, but no more, or something like
That would
that.
be okay for minerals that would not begin to dissolve. So quartz crystals would be perfectly fine for that. But again, calcite and some of those other soft minerals would not do well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. Hey,
Hmm.
I have an since I was at the festival on Saturday, um, I was really interested by your wands that you have. But so I mean, most people, me, of course, too, at the age I am, it's like, the word wand, it brings up Harry Potter or
Hmm.
witches or something, which when I was growing up was taboo, or witches, you don't want. Whereas now I know that, witches, it was really just people who were close to the earth and into healing and into crystals and herbs and all the holistic things, right? And and who use their intention as prayer and healing.
Hmm. Hmm.
But so the crystals, like what you carry, what were they made of, and how would people use those?
Are you, which ones are you talking about? The
Um,
chakra
just that were
wands?
on your table. I don't know that.
Well,
I think they were labeled wands, and maybe they
oh,
were 8 to 10 inches long, or something.
yeah, okay. That's what you're talking about there. They have different stones in them. There's a color for each of the seven chakras. And then on the top part where the point is, it's a quartz crystal. And then on the bottom, that was a round quartz crystal that had been tumbled. And so when you use those with your energy work that you do, or
Mhm.
your own energy and your intent, you can then have that vibrational frequency of all of the crystals together, and the quartz crystals go to a certain point within the body for healing.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm. Now, the
Well,
wooden ones that I had and the ones that lit up, that's mostly for fun, like Harry Potter. But I tell everyone your intention is what's most important. Your belief in something is most important. I have some stones that I labeled as lucky stones. And one of the little girls that came with her mother, she was like, I want that one because I want good luck. And she said, well, that one costs more. Why don't we get you this one here? And the little girl said, but it's not a lucky one. I said, it's lucky if you believe it,
mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So it's all in the belief system. They just call it lucky, a lucky stone. But you can make any stone a lucky one by your intentions.
Yeah. Very, very nice. Very beautiful reminder. Um, and I was had heard too. I don't know, back in September, I'd done a podcast with a friend of mine who's a master herbalist, and we were talking about trees. And it was very interesting in finding that a lot of the tree energy was often used, or at one time anyway, in folklore, say that it was used for different energies, just like the crystals were.
Mhm.
And I thought that was really fascinating, and that I need to find a few pieces.
Well, and you can always go out and put your arms around a tree. And if it's a large tree, you can lay up against it with your back against it. And the trees do carry powerful healing energy,
Absolutely.
especially the larger ones, the older ones that have been there for a long, long time. And so, years ago, I used to laugh when I would hear about a person being a tree hugger. I don't anymore because when I go out and put my hands around it, my arms, or if I lean up against it, I can actually feel the positive, higher frequency energy coming from them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I do too. And trees have healed me a number of times. It's like if I to get ready for a podcast, or to do a client appointment or something, and if I'm not feeling the best or something, it's like I'll
Mhm.
go out and hug the tree and say heal me, and it's like I feel the energy moving and moving, and when it stops, I feel good,
I believe that,
and
and
I can
I
get
believe
through whatever I
I
need to.
believe the reason why is because, especially the larger ones, their roots go down deeper into the earth's soil, and they're connected to the center of the earth more. And so that's the grounding energy that you feel, and the love and the nurturing feeling that you would get from Mother Earth. And then their branches reach up to the heavens, right? So they're getting the higher spiritual healing energies from them. So it connects us, it balances with the earth energies and then the heaven energies as well. When I say heaven, I mean the stars and so forth above us.
And in fact, I've been learning that in feng shui. It's an ancient Eastern, um, is the type of feng shui I'm learning, that's based on the ancient Eastern philosophy. And yes, that's what they teach, of that connection with trees, that the people are the connection of um, heaven to earth, and the trees are the
Yes,
connection of earth to heaven. So the trees complete the cycle with us.
that's perfect. Yes.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Mhm.
And I wanted to go a little bit and have you explain. I have a vocal cut crystal, right? Um, and you list on your website, I don't know how many facets this one is, um, but you list on your website, you have a picture of a copper tent with
Mhm.
Vogel cut crystals
Mhm.
for each of the chakras, and a colored light of each of the chakra centers. I just think that must be very, very powerful healing.
It is. And Megan has actually tried it out, and I've had several of
Yes.
my clients getting on my massage table to experience that. And it's just phenomenal. Everyone has a different experience with it. What I'm able to do, it's a copper pyramid that I constructed, and I have it around my massage table, and then it comes up to a point in the center part. And then I have a bar of copper going through the middle of it, hanging just below the point, that has the seven Vogel quartz crystals of their unique colors. So a light goes into that and then creates the seven colors that you would have for your chakra system. And these Vogel quartz crystals are cut specifically for a very high energy. They're not very cheap either. I think it was like almost $400 for each one of them. So,
Wow.
they're very powerful. Um, and that colored light with the energy of that quartz crystal, the Vogel quartz crystal, beaming on the part of the chakra helps open up the chakras, and it helps rotate them in a clockwise direction so that they are open and functioning properly with one another. Also, the copper pyramid is healing in itself. The Egyptians used it, and many different cultures around the world have used pyramids. These pyramids can also open portals from the higher realms for healing. And so, if a client wants that, then I just make sure that I have their permission to do so. And then, by my intention, I can open that for them so that they can receive healing from the highest source of all, which I would say then is the Creator or God.
Right. So do you do Reiki in conjunction with the copper pyramid too?
I can, yes. So in the case of Megan, I
Yeah.
did both for her. She was in the pyramid, and then I did the energy work on her, because if I find that there's a chakra that is struggling, that it's blocked, severely blocked, then I can help that move a little bit easier for them with doing Reiki energy work, or something a little higher than that, than Reiki. Because as we're all spiritually evolving, the Reiki isn't as strong as it would have been for us, say, 10 years ago. So I do a little bit a higher frequency energy where I ascend the person. Their frequency ascends.
And one
So
thing that, oh, sorry. Yeah. And one thing that I felt when I was laying on the table was I felt like I was almost lower than my body. And I had realized that it was my heart chakra was completely open. My body around this area was open. So I was, in a sense, not of my body, if that makes sense. It was very amazing to
A lot
experience
of
that.
times, and I think she was astral traveling a little bit. A lot of times, people will report that they feel like their spirit is kind of leaving their body. They can still feel their body in the pyramid on the table, but then they feel like they're somewhere else, and so that could very well be, yeah.
Yeah.
But
so
it's a very powerful form of healing. And I would like to say that in the year 2026, I'm going to be offering not only my celestial gems with the stones, crystals, and everything there, but I'm going to have a booth or a space set up right next to it with my pyramid over the table, my chakra
nice.
lights,
Mhm.
and I can offer that to the clients, or not the clients, but the people that are coming for that as well, for their healing Reiki energy work with it, or they can just be in the pyramid experiencing that.
Yeah. So that sounds really cool.
Mhm.
So the you say that Reiki isn't as strong as it used to be 10 years ago?
I feel that it isn't for me. So
Oh,
the higher your frequency becomes, Reiki energy doesn't seem to be as strong for me. I don't feel it very much. I have to do an ascended form of energy work. As we're all slowly ascending through time, our frequencies
mhm.
are getting higher, at least for the ones that want to.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
There are
It's
those that,
always our choice. Yeah.
yeah, it's always our choice. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, interesting. Would you want to talk some about your hypnotherapy and your mindful pathways then?
Yes, thank you. I'm doing quite well. I opened my business for the office in January of this year. And at first, it was a little bit slow, especially in the cold winter time when we had a lot of ice and snow. Um, and I would say that half of the people that come are for hypnosis, and then half of them are coming in for spiritual guidance and energy work and with the pyramid. Um, with hypnosis, one of the most popular ones would be stop smoking. And
Mhm.
I've even had times where I would do group sessions with people where I'd have three or four of them coming in together for the hypnosis session, and it would be just as effective for one as it was for the other. I also have them come in for a variety of things. Some people want to have more self confidence. They want to do better in scoring on their exams. I
Mm.
get some of them from the university that want
Oh,
that.
that's nice. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Relationships, people wanting to heal their relationships or to heal their past. I get trauma people who come to me that have had some kind of trauma in their childhood and or in their adult age as well to help them release that. And I've had some of them come in for past life regression to find out about who they were in a past life,
Mhm.
which is very interesting to see what they pick up with that. Um, Something else that I do besides the hypnosis is that I have a mechanical device that puts out frequencies. It's called bioresonance frequency healing.
Mhm.
And so I can dial in a certain number according to what that frequency in hertz would be for healing a certain part of the body. And when I do that, a person can sit there and relax in the chair, and it's for 20 minutes. And then they feel already within the first 10 minutes quite a bit of relief if they're having pain or if they're having some kind of issues later on, they'll report to me that they no longer have that issue.
Mhm.
For example, I had one woman who was having severe neck pain. And so I put in a frequency number for that. I have a chart that I put together. I don't remember them offhand unless I'm looking. And
Mhm.
I put that particular program, that particular number into the device, and it played for 20 minutes. And afterwards, I said, "Do you hurt anymore?" And she said, "No, I don't." She said, "I actually feel very peaceful too." Later on, I talked to her. I said, "How are you doing?" And she said, "I'm doing very well. I was out on my scooter, my
Ah,
electric scooter, riding around all over the place." And she said, "I even fell once and it didn't hurt."
wow.
And she could barely move her neck at that time. And I noticed before we started that she had a knot on the back of her neck, on the side of her neck, and it was gone after just 20 minutes of playing that particular frequency. It is more powerful than what you would get on, say, you go to YouTube and you're listening to a certain frequency on the internet. It's a much more powerful one
Mhm.
if you do it with that particular kind of device.
Mhm.
So I do a little bit of everything. I also do Akashic record readings.
Well, how how do you like that, or how do you um
How do I do that?
no, not how you do it, how do you like it? Do you like doing the Akashic records?
I
What
do.
does
Yes.
it feel like?
As long as I am not expecting anything out of, a certain answer from the Akashic records and I have my mind free of my ego, it's really quite rewarding to be able to help someone look at their past lives or their life now and what it would be in the near future in this lifetime, and also in their future lifetimes. So it's kind of like I can help them have a roadmap for their healing process.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can kind of think of it like the book of life, that Christians
Mhm.
talk about. When you pass away, you've got your book of life to review. Well, these Akashic records are just everything energetically recorded in our universe, and we can then tap into that and help the individuals. I even usually have one loved one come through that will be present in the reading that is a loved one of the person that I'm reading.
Mm. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of forms of healing,
There
and
is.
it just has to do with what everyone feels comfortable with and what they believe.
Mhm. Well, how yeah, it's just awesome that there is so much available, right? So many different healings, and just like the crystals, if you don't have one, you're bound to have another that can be similar, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Or like I like about all of us healing practitioners that, we bring what we have, right? What we have to offer in ourselves, our knowledge, our skills, our sensitivities, our intuition, and we bring that to the table, right? To
Mhm.
the session, and it's the life force, it's God or spirit that then uses whatever each of us have to heal in different ways. Um, and I mean, it's just awesome. I mean, we can use different modalities and heal the
Mhm.
same thing, right? Heal in the same way.
Yes,
And
there's infinite possibilities for healing.
there
It
is.
all has to do with our intentions. And I will say that the biggest thing that my clients have found very useful is letting go of their fears. Because once they let go of their fears, they're able to heal.
Yeah.
And I learned from my own experiences and then with my clients that a lot of times when we are scared and our fears are taking over, right, that is actually our ego that is giving us those fears. And people usually think of ego as, oh, they have an inflated ego. Well, they might. But an inflated ego is still acting out of fear. So then they want to inflate the ego to make them feel better or higher up than someone else. But the ego does a lot of negative talk,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so if you can help calm that part of yourself down and just say, I'm ascending my ego at this time, then the ego steps out of the way. And it's similar to my hypnosis sessions that I do. When a person comes in and they're having a lot of negative self talk, I tell them, I said, it's probably in your subconscious mind and that you acquired that from an earlier time. So,
Mm-hmm.
like if they grew up and their parents were putting them down all the time, or they were bullied at school, or whatever it might be, they start to take on the belief that they're not worthy or that they're not as good as anyone else. And there's just many different ways of thinking negatively. What's false? It's false information. And
Mm-hmm.
so with hypnosis, once I get the person into a light trance, then, and they're nice and relaxed, then their conscious mind can kind of just float off to the side. They can still hear me and they're still in control. But
Mm-hmm.
then that's when I can tap in to the subconscious mind, remove that negative programming, and they're helping me as we do this. We work together as a team. And once the negative programming is removed, then I will give positive programming to the subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what is just miraculous in itself, because then they start having all the positive thoughts. And when their conscious mind says, I'm going to do this, they can, because the negative part is gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I've benefited greatly from hypnosis. I do spiritual hypnosis as well as just for healing. But
Hmm.
yeah, have found it very helpful
Did you
many,
want to
many
say
times.
something about the ego?
The ego? Oh man, the ego. Well, so I battled with my ego for years. My fears, pretty much ran my life. For six years, I pushed all my gifts out of the way because I was afraid of them. My ego had me convinced that they were evil, that I had no, that everything I'd ever done was, evil, that I had no hope. And out of nowhere, I started feeling just positive energies, I guess, that just I started buying stones and things like that for healing for just no reason. And I don't know why still, maybe, but so I went to a spirit fair, and my husband, lo and behold, was a student of Tambra's, and she was teaching a class on the pendulum, and I told her, because she told me a gift that she had that I share as well, and I said, but I kind of told her what what I thought, and how I've been convinced all this was evil. And she just basically broke it down like, is this Megan's ego convincing her that all of this is evil, when in reality it's her greatest gift. And it just basically said, yeah, this has all been your ego. And after that, all these fears just dissipated,
Hmm.
and I just branched out, you know what I mean? And now what would terrify me back then, I just laugh at, because it's not real. None of the things that I was afraid of are actually real. They're nothing I could hold. There's nothing I could, it just stopped me. And the ego can do a darn good job. Let me tell you, it can do crazy things. But where I am today, I would never have been if I hadn't have known about the ego.
Yeah, she
So
made like almost a 360-degree turn
yeah.
when I told her that was her ego talking to her. and she just lit up. And then we started getting all kinds of information coming through about herself and who she was in the past, and that her gifts were going to be really shining bright to help herself and to help other people. So, yeah, I tell a lot of people, if you're hearing negative thoughts, that's the ego.
Yeah.
And just say, I am ascending my ego.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as we're here on the earth, in the 3D earth or 4D, whichever you want to think of it right now, we will have an ego. But if we go into 5D, we will not. Or if we do, we know how to handle it. So we're constantly having to do that. And I'll tell you this too, Carla. I find it very powerful for me and other people who have a lot of fears to write them down, because writing it down and saying it out loud is very powerful. Our words have power, and so do our written words, not typed, but written. Write them down, list them. Just say, okay, here are all my fears that I'm feeling right now or I have had in the last month. And then after you've written them down, say, I am ascending all of these fears. It's your words and your intent that will do it. And you can be free of it. And you can feel so much better.
Yes.
You feel free, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And fear it's a crazy thing, because in the end it's pretty much not real. You know what I mean? It's just a limitation that we create.
It's just a false belief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So and once you do that, then you can realize that you are a divine individual, that you are a part of God, the creator. So you can say, my God self is blossoming. It's becoming more and more of who I was meant to be, and not feeling like you're just weighed down by all this darkness and heaviness. So I really get excited when I see people start to shine and to see that they are a child of the creator, and that they are all special and they are all divine.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So that's a beautiful place to stop tonight. And would you want to tell people how to reach you or contact you?
Sure. I have my office here in Topeka. It is at 2611 Southwest 17th Street in Topeka. And it's really close to a Dairy Queen on 17th Street and a veterinary office, not far from the university. And my telephone number is 785-480-8174. So you can contact me that way, or with my email at Tambra, that's TAMBRA .Eifert, that's EIFERT at outlook.com.
Okay. Very good. And that you do hypnotherapy and Reiki by distance sessions
I
also, right?
can, yes, I can also, for those that are farther out or from another state, I can do Zoom sessions for hypnosis, providing it's not for a trauma client, because I am required through my training and my insurance and everything to do those in the office in case they need extra help. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, lovely. Thank you, Tambra and Megan, for
Thank you,
joining me
Thank
Carla.
you.
tonight. It's been
Yes.
a fun and interesting conversation.
And Megan will continue to help me with the fairs, hopefully, and her husband,
Yes.
Kelby. Yeah,
Yes.
so I'm looking forward to the pyramid, taking that to
Yes.
the fairs in 2026.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds great for sure.
Thank you so much for inviting us to be part of your podcast episode. And I wish everybody well. And if you need any help, just give me a call or send me an email. I also have a website that you can check out that will tell a little bit more about hypnosis. But know this, that anybody can be hypnotized. It's just that some people take a little bit longer. and I can do that in one session.
All right. Very good. Well, thank you. And thank you all for watching. We appreciate you listening in and learning with us. So we'll talk to you
Thank you,
next time.
everyone. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.